Alright, so today we're going to go over the Eternity Pain Acceptance quest, and this is the Dimensional Being objective. So my team for this video is Hercules at a 6-star rank 3, who will be swapped out later on in the quest. And then the other Dimensional Beings are Galen, who is 6-star rank 4, CGR, who is 6-star rank 3, and the Hood, who is 6-star rank 2. So I am running the recoil masteries for these Hercules fights. Once we get to like the actual Dimensional Being challenge, I will take off the recoil masteries, but I heavily suggest using the recoil masteries for these Hercules matchups. So for this Dormammu, watch out for the Footloose node and watch out for the Stun Immune node. Besides that, he's pretty straightforward. He actually does help you with the power gain node, so you can just get like special attacks easier. And yeah, you're going to hit Immortality in this fight probably. So you just want to try to get lucky with the unblockable proc to make sure that you don't let him throw SP3. And then after you do that, you're just golden. So yeah, Dormammu should be a solo to a revive. And this Bishop boss right here, what you want to do is you want to do the usual Hercules rotation. It's a bit different though because you don't gain power naturally, you get it through the node. So if you like slow play your combo, you can get your power easier and you can get more power overall. So use it to your advantage, and then this should be a pretty straightforward solo or one revive like I did. Now we have Crossbones. This is probably the most annoying fight here. It requires a lot of luck to get like the maximum damage output. So you want to just do a combo and then bait up the SP1, so then you can do like damage now. And then you just want to go for your SP1, and then you just want to try to be as aggressive as possible. If you're lucky, he'll throw his SP1 pretty fast, and that'll let him get more fury, so you can just keep doing more damage. And yeah, once you do that, you just want to get to your SP2, and then just hope that it stuns, because if it stuns, then you'll do a ton of damage. If it doesn't stun, then you'll have to get lucky and hope he doesn't throw the SP3 immediately. So yeah, overall, a very RNG-reliant fight. But if it goes in your favor, it can be a solo. But maybe expect like 1 to 2 revives. 3 as well, also a possibility. It just depends on how like lucky you are. And now we have the Overseer fight, which is just the usual Hercules rotation. This fight is very safe because the Overseer, his biggest thing is his auto block, but you can just ignore that because you're unblockable. And then once you're immortal, you just want to go for your SP2 and just trying to get as many stuns as possible, and the fight should be pretty straightforward overall. You do have Rich Get Richer as well, which gives you extra power. And you can utilize that to chain SP2s and try to get lucky with the stun procs, because he does have special concussion, so he can fail your stun, and once that happens, you're kind of just done for. So yeah, this can be a solo. Maybe expect 1 to 2 revives if you are a bit unlucky. But yeah, those are all the Hercules fights, and now you want to swap him out for the Hood, and then now we can begin the challenge. So the first boss is Kraven. You can use anyone for this, but I used Galen, and I actually soloed this fight. So this fight is pretty straightforward overall. Push him to SP2, and then counteract with your SP2, and then you should just be golden. Really not too much to this fight. The only thing is that he is unblockable, so watch out for that. And if he does throw his SP1, just counteract with your SP1, and then you'll be fine. Overall, not too bad of a fight. Expect a solo. If you don't solo, 1 to 2 revives is also pretty feasible. And yeah, not a bad fight overall. Definitely the easiest fight of the 4. And then after this is the Scorpion one, who in my opinion is the hardest one of the 4. So yeah, Galen, really good for this fight. If you don't have Galen, CGR works fine, Hood works fine as well. And now I can move on to the Scorpion boss. I forgot to mention that I am running Boost here. I usually say that in the beginning, but I just forgot to say it this time. So yeah, I am running Boost. Heavily suggest doing it because this content is very difficult, and overall, it allows you to get more solo. So now we have the Scorpion boss, and this boss is very annoying. Definitely the hardest fight in like this challenge. So what we want to do here is you just want to keep throwing your special attacks. You'll get a Petrify on you, and when you do that, do not parry, because then the power gain will reverse, and then you will just get instantly one-shot by the Linger node. So yeah, also watch out for his Scorpion Sting. That's also pretty annoying. There's a lot of annoying things in this fight, but Galen can just like burst through it with his Harvest, and then once you do that, you just need to rinse and repeat that, and then you can get this fight down pretty easily. So yeah. I think this took me like about 2 revives. It can be done in a solo for sure, but just be aware it might cost a couple of revives. Now this fight is just like a very straightforward fight with Hood. This should be a solo for sure. Mystic Dispersion is heavily encouraged here because it allows you to throw your SP2s easier, and that'll be your big source of damage because it will knock him down, and once he gets knocked down, he's vulnerable to more damage, and you can just do your heavy attack there, and it'll just provide a lot of damage for you. It's a lot more difficult when you don't have MD because you won't get as much power, and then that can just cause a lot of problems because you have to go for your SP1. But using your SP1 will trigger Ikaris is unstoppable, so yeah, I do not suggest doing that at all. But in this fight, you just want to bait out Ikaris' SP1, retaliate with either your heavy attack or just medium attacks, and then you want to use your SP2 to get rid of the power detonation, and then it'll just be a very straightforward fight overall. You just repeat that and it should be a very easy solo. And speaking of easy solos, this Peni Parker with Gallon is also very straightforward. He just hard counters the fight. He has access to power burn immunity, so you take no damage there. And overall, just a very simple Gallon fight. If you don't have Gallon, CGR can work as well. But the easiest time is definitely with Gallon, because he also has access to special lock immunity, so you can just gain power freely, and he is just like perfect for this fight. I forgot to mention, if you don't have Hood for Ikaris, I would imagine Gallon can just like nuke him down eventually. It might take a couple of revives, but overall shouldn't be too bad. And if you don't have Gallon for Scorpion, you can also use CGR. He works just fine there as well. So yeah, a lot of options for these fights, but it mainly revolves around CGR, Hood, and Gallon. But yeah, for this Peni fight, just keep hitting into her block to get extra planetary mass, and then drop your SP1 to trigger the harvest, and then you'll just be golden. It is just a very straightforward fight. And now we have the Thanos boss. So a quick tip for the Thanos boss. In this like beginning phase where it's like the first 5%, use Gallon, trigger the harvest, and when he goes into his cocoon phase, just drop your SP2, and then you'll just take out like half the phase already. Then from there, you just want to hit into his block to get power, and then you can retaliate with a special attack to remove the cocoon every time he activates it. So yeah, overall, a pretty straightforward first phase. The second phase, Gallon is not good for because he has a safeguard, and Gallon cannot bypass safeguard with his harvest, apparently. So yeah, just not good for the second phase. I ended up like not surviving the second phase because of Gallon. So yeah, I just used the Hood in the end, and he just works so good for that second phase. But yeah, this first phase is pretty straightforward with Gallon. Just rinse and repeat the harvest, and then you'll be fine. And yeah, so the second phase I used the Hood, and the Hood is just very good for this phase because he has access to burst damage that can like ignore safeguard. So yeah, overall Hood is just probably the best option for this phase if you do not solo like him overall. I did not solo this Thanos obviously because I'm using multiple characters. But this can be a solo. Any of these characters can solo the fight. I think the Hood will be the easiest time, and then followed by Gallon and then CGR. But yeah, not too bad of a phase. You just want to watch out for the reverse controls, but you can disable the reverse controls by ending the combo with the light attack, and then you'll be fine. But see right there, I detonated it, and that took off like a big chunk of his health. And then yeah, just that's the end of that phase. Now in the final phase, you just want to spam intercept so you can put armor breaks onto Thanos, and they'll let you do damage. And you can heal from the armor breaks that are on yourself. So yeah, I do suggest healing for this last phase though, because you'll get SP3'd a lot, and it takes like 20% off your life. So yeah, just remember to do that. I really suggest healing because it just lets you take more SP3s. And Gallon is definitely the best for this phase because you can see the Unstoppable lets you go for easy intercepts. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Gallon's Unstoppable is great for this last phase. And now you want to go to your SP3, and once you do that, you can just drop it and it'll do a lot of damage. So yeah, overall, not too bad of a final phase. And once you do that, you'll do a ton of SP3 damage, and it'll finish off Thanos, and then you will have completed this run. So yeah, that concludes this challenge. If you're following along on the channel, this is the third to last guide. So yeah, we have 2 more runs to do after this. It's the A-Force one, and then the Spider-Verse one. So yeah, be on the lookout for those. And yeah, hopefully this helped. I really hope that this helped you do the fights pretty easily. And yeah, that's about it for me.